Good morning or afternoon or evening, whenever you're watching this. I'm Andi, Andi the Knittress. You can find me on Instagram and Ravelry and YouTube as Andi the Knittress. And this is my little corner of the internet where I just like to share my yarny world. I do knitting, spinning, and crocheting, and this is episode 4, and it's been a little bit longer than I should have been here. I think it's been 3 weeks, but you know, whatever. My schedule. I do what I want. So I have a couple of quite a few finished objects for you guys today, and a couple of whips and stuff. So I guess we'll just jump right in. So the first thing that I have finished was something I made for my daughter for Easter, and I absolutely love this. I was scrolling through my Instagram feed, and I follow Trendsetters Yarns because I've knit a few things out of their yarns, and they had posted these knitted peeps. And my daughter was sitting with me because she likes to look through all of the pictures and stuff. And she said, I want one of those. So I went to my local thrift store and I found this yarn. I think it's a Red Heart, like, I don't know, it had a really old label on it. It was Red Heart. I didn't particularly write down what it was. It'll be in my Ravelry project notes. And so I knit her this little peep, and it turned out really cute. It's kind of like a homespunny looking one, like a Bossel boucle. I don't know how you say that word. I'm not one to know how to say things. But yeah, so I finished this peep for her, and she got it for Easter, and she was super excited, and she's been lugging it around with her everywhere. I'm like picking little bits of grass and stuff out of it. But it's super adorable, and she loves it so much. And I did not grab the pattern note information. I will link that down below, where to find the pattern. It was a free pattern on Ravelry, and it was a very, very easy knit. And then, you know, you knit a front and a back and a long strip for the side, and you seam it all together and stuff it, and it worked out pretty good. I followed the instructions. Some people said that they were a little bit confusing for them. I didn't find it very confusing. The flat pieces, they looked a little wonky before I sewed them together and stuffed it. They looked like really round in the face, and then, you know, it looked weird. But once it was all constructed and put together, it turned out pretty nicely, I think. So yeah, there's that. It's done. The next thing that I finished was something that I had spun some yarn. I got a bat, and it looked similar to this. And this is Looking Glass Shetlands. They're Oregon raised sheep. Really, really local to me. It's like 10 minutes from me is where Looking Glass is. And so you get 2 matching bats in here. So there's 2 bats. And so you can spin one and then spin the other one and then ply them together and your yarn matches. Well, the one that I got was this colorway, and it spun up so nicely. And it's a worsted spun, and I really love that you can see the, you know, the gradient kept just like the bat. I really, really like it. And I spun this up and knit this up within a span of 2 days. I just was really in love with it. And this is like a topless hat, because I have my big old dread bun, but I still like to have my ears covered. So yeah, it's just a 1x1 rib. I didn't have a pattern. I did a 1x1 rib and then started to taper in a little bit so it would fit my head. I think that's blowing out a little bit. Yeah, but I absolutely love this. It's so bouncy, and I there's something about, you know, making your own yarn and then knitting it up. It's like satisfying. I love it. So there's that. Oh, and these bats are 2 ounces. So, you know, 2 ounces, and I think I ended up with like 110 yards once I spun it up, and it's I think I achieved a worsted weight finally, which is the smallest spin that I've achieved so far. So I just love it. I really, really love it. The next thing that I finished, I'm super excited about, is my Halloween socks. And I absolutely love these. I don't think you're going to be able to see any of the sparkle in these. Maybe a little bit. So, yeah. This is just a vanilla sock. And this is the toe, heels and cuffs is knitted wit, and it is I think it's their Smarties yarn in this is Tanzanite colorway. And then my sparkle sock yarn here is SpindleWarpsYarns from Etsy. I just Etsy'd, you know, sparkle sock yarn because I was really wanting some sparkle sock yarn, and I ended up getting 3 of her colorways in sparkle sock, and I can't wait to cast on the next pair. I have this one is called Hallows Eve, and these fit so good. My last socks that I made were a little big. That was my first pair, you know, not bad considering I could still wear them. They're kind of just like house socks. I don't really wear them with shoes because they're a little, you know, they'd be like slippy, but these fit so good. Like, I did the fish lips kiss heel, and then just a 2x2 ribbed cuff. I love them. Super, super love them. And, you know, all the information for this will be in my Ravelry projects. And the next thing I finished is a really big item. This is my first like adult size sweater. I mean, I did make myself like a cardigan, and I made my daughter her sweater, but this is for my husband. And I love it. And it fits me. It fits me too. He said that I'm not allowed to wear it though. I have not blocked it yet, so it's a little warbly here where I had picked up the neck. But this is Cascade 220, and it's color 8400. Yeah, I think I did a 52-inch chest for him. I did all his measurements, and I kept making him try it on, and he was getting like a little frustrated with me, and I'm like, try it on. He's like, well, I don't want to mess it up. I don't want the needles to fall out. I'm like, I can pick up stitches. It's fine. So yeah, this is awesome. I did have issues with this pattern I talked about in a previous episode, but it's basically one lady's pattern, and I kind of tweaked it and used Ann Bud's top-down raglan book to help me figure out the rest. And then pretty much once you split for the sleeves, though, I don't follow anybody's rules. I mean, I do my sleeves how I want, and the body is just straight knitting, so I really don't need a pattern after that. I want to say that the pattern is by, I don't want to say, because I want to say it's Kathy something or other. I'll put it down in the notes. I've talked about it before, but I just love it. It's got this cable detail at the front, and I have enough yarn of this left over to make him a matching hat. He said he'd like a matching hat with just, you know, one cable detail. You know, he could put it off to the side, but it fits him so good. And he really loves it because he's got a really long torso. So most of the time when he buys a sweater, unless he buys the extra tall, they don't fit him right. And even when he buys the extra tall, he's not quite extra tall, so they tend to be a little long on him. Then this fits him really good. It falls on him nicely. I'll have to get pictures and post it on my Instagram next time he wears it. He wore it on Easter. But I just love it. I love it so much. Like, it's really exciting to know that I can make a garment, and he got so many compliments on it. Yeah, I did a 1x1 rib. When I picked up the collar, I did it a little different than she did in the pattern, and I did a tubular bind off around the neck. I really like the way, you know, a tubular bind off looks. It kind of folds over, like, it looks, I don't know, I think it makes it look, it gives it that extra goodness. I didn't do a tubular bind off on the cuffs and the bottom because I didn't know how to do it for 2x2, and everything I looked up says you have to make it into 1x1. One day I think I'm going to try and sit down and see if I can do a 2x2 tubular bind off without switching it to 1x1, but it's probably not a possibility, but I think it might be, considering how you work with the stitches. I think I could figure it out. I think I'm gonna try and figure that out one day, because you know, you're working 2 stitches at a time when you do a tubular bind off. So, you know, you're essentially, you knit through your knit stitch, and then you skip the next stitch and you purl through your next knit stitch. So if this was knit purl, so maybe I would just, I'm gonna figure it out. You knitters that are watching this, you know, people that aren't knitters that aren't watching this are probably like, I'm speaking, you know, a different language. But yeah, I think I'm gonna try and figure that out. I haven't found a video where it doesn't take it down to a 1x1 first and to do the bind off, but I'm gonna figure that out. But I really, really love this. I love this a lot. Cascade 220. It's a non-superwash, so he's got to take care of it. Well, you know, I'll probably be the one to take care of it, but it fits me too, which is exciting because he said I'm not allowed to wear it though, but we'll see. We'll see. We'll see how much he wears it. I can't believe my first adult sweater I made for him and not myself. But yeah, and that's all the finished objects that I have completed. I'm working on quite a bit of things. Like I have, you know, I have several projects on needles right now. Let's just start with this one. I got, I'm making another pair of socks for my husband, and they're in my bag that I scored. I got this bag from Quirky Monday crafts on Etsy. I watch her podcast, and it's Kalisha Ryan of, is that, it's not focusing, there we go, Quirky Monday podcast, and her bags are so hard to get every time they pop up, and she's got some really good fabrics. She always has these amazing, like, astrological sky galaxy. She had llamas and butterflies, but I'm so excited that I snagged one of her bags, and it came with this little progress keeper stitch marker. So cute. It's really well made too. But living in here are my socks that I'm making for my husband, and this sock pattern is the Apollo sock by Melinda Meeser. I think she's Rye Flowers on Instagram. But this pattern came in, I had got the Yarn Crush box in January, and it had a pattern book that came in it, and that's where this pattern is. I think I showed these last time, and this is where I was last time, and this is how much I've done. I had these probably about to here, and I just did the 72 stitches like I did last time for him, and I'm knitting them, and they were so big. I did the same needle size, you know, it's sock yarn, but this yarn is super, like, super stretchy. So I had to rip back and these are 64 stitches around now. So I mean, it's going a little quicker than it was before. I mean, I know it's, you know, only like 8 stitches difference, but it's making it go a little quicker. But yeah, so it's kind of like a baskety weave looking pattern on there almost. You know, I don't want to give it away because I do think it is a paid pattern. But yeah, it's really fun. It's not too hard for me to do, and like I can do this in the car, or if I'm sitting with friends, I can knit on these. So they've gotten a little bit of time. They're this yarn is Blazing Fibers by Pineapple Express. It's Blazing Fibers, and it's 75/25 superwash merino nylon, and Blazing Fibers is out of Hillsboro, Oregon. I really like, you know, to buy local yarn when I can afford it. And I picked this up at my local yarn store. That's one of the things that I'm working on. The next thing I'm working on is I cast on a sweater, and it's got a couple of names. I have this book, the Knitting Wizardly, and it is in here, and it is called the Owl Cardigan. But when I looked it up on Ravelry to put in my project information, it's also called the Ginny sweater. It's also in like an unofficial Harry Potter book. So this sweater is in a couple of books. But I really like that detail, and this cardigan will be a closed cardigan for me versus my last cardigan, which was it was an open cardigan. So let's see, here's a better, so there's the owl cable details. So yeah, this is going to be a fun knit. This is a bottom-up sweater. I've not done a bottom-up sweater before. So since it's bottom-up and then you do the sleeves, I decided to just cast on both the sleeves and get the sleeves out of the way, so Sleeve Island's done. And I don't have to worry about that. But so my Galaxy bag, this is from Precious Knit Shop. I'm a sucker for something sparkly, so I got this double pointed needle case and the bag and a skein coat. And I'm knitting this with Patton's Classic Wool Worsted in the Passion Heather. I got this yarn on sale at Joann Fabrics, and I love it because it's 100% wool, and it's purple. I know that's not showing up very well. Okay, let's see. No? Anyway, it's purple like heather, little tiny speckles of other purples, and maybe a little bit of pinks in there. I think this is going to make for a cute sweater. So I did the tubular cast on with these cuffs. I'm in love. I'm in love with this the tubular cast on and bind off. Like, a lot of people say that it's you know, difficult, you know, or it does take a little bit more time, but not much more than a long tail cast on. Like, you're essentially doing the same thing, and then you have to knit 2 rows flat even if you're going in the round. You know, kind of doing like a brioche setup almost, and it turns into the tubular cast on. It just looks so nice. It gives it a very nicely finished edge. So this is one of my cuffs, and this one's almost done. I gotta do 4 inches in it, and you know, I do my own cuffs, my own ribs. It's my knitting, my choice. So, I mean, the pattern called for a 2x2, but I'm doing this. But it just looks nice. Like, I love it. So, this is kind of a slow going project. It's not something that I'm working on quite often. I just wanted to cast something new on. I'm just like, I'm gonna cast that sweater on. So that'll be done sometime, probably by the fall. And another thing that I am working on is something out of my own hand spun yarn. And I think that I showed all these yarns maybe on one of the other podcasts. This is the Merlot colorway that I had spun. I know I did show this because I talked about how I put all of the colors together and spun it to see if I would like it, and then went ahead and just spun them individually. And I got Merlot and persimmon and salsa and dill, and I said I was gonna do something with them together, and I am knitting a shawl. And I have started with the dill, and I went up and I did like a slip stitch kind of to fade them together. I really like how that turned out. And like when I got close to the end of the green, I did a slip stitch with the orange, and I just kept alternating rows until I officially ran out of the green. And then I went into the salsa, and now I am into the persimmon colorway. I love this. It's going to be a really dense, like a thick cowl. This is going to be great for the fall and the winter. It's going to be so awesome. I got, I think a total of a little over 300 yards between the 4 skeins, which isn't bad. I had spun this and then chain plied it. So all 4 of the colorways are chain plied. They are varying weights. I think I got 2 Aarons and a bulky, and then one that fell right in between an Aran and a bulky. But the bulky one is the persimmon colorway. It's a little thicker than the others, but I really love how this is turning out. It's so bouncy. I over twisted in the ply because I was reading in my Yarna texture book that, you know, that can give it a little bit of an extra bounce to it. So I over twisted a little. I love this. There's nothing as satisfying as making your own yarn and then knitting from it. Like, honestly, it's pretty awesome. So yeah. Oh, I have my yarn wrapped around me now. But I really love that. I cannot wait till this is done. I think that it's going to be awesome. It's already like almost as long as my wingspan. So I'm excited. And I still have a little ways to go into the persimmon before I start in the Merlot. So I really love that. The other thing that I'm knitting on is I started this bag. This is awesome. I got this bag from Knit for Brains. I watched their podcast with Laura and Alicia and Alicia's little daughter. And immediately when I saw this bag, I had to go buy it because it's olive, which is one of my favorite colors. There's cacti on the inside, and there's like a ton of pockets, and it's big. It's huge. Like, you can see it's like as wide as I am. Anyway, living in here is my Hogwarts A History sweater by Megan of Bad Wolf Girl 6 and Knits. So I'm excited. So with this sweater, there are a ton of charts that you can choose from, and then she gives you this little paper. You can sketch out what you're gonna do and pick your colorways and head on. I've not really done color work a whole bunch. I've done it a little, so I'm not the greatest at it, but this is what I've got going so far. So I chose the music notes for the top of my yoke, and then I'm going into the sorting hat, and I am knitting all of this with Knit Picks palette. I don't know, man. Everybody that knows me knows that I can't pronounce things properly, and I get easily confused with the English language, as I think most people do. But anyway, yeah, I'm using all of this, and this is a proven Highland wool. There's it's fingering weight. I got a few colors. I got grass, silver, serpentine, lynx, and brass. So brass and grass. Yeah, so I'm going to have a few colorways in there, and I decided that with this sweater, I think, because I found out that I'm a Slytherin, which blew my mind, because all the little quizzes on, you know, social medias and stuff that I took said that I was Hufflepuff, and then I went to Pottermore and took, like, the official quiz, and I'm a Slytherin, which, okay, you know, they're like, I'm cool with that, it's alright, so I decided to go with Slytherin colors. So that's why I have, sorry for the bag noises, that's why I have the silver color I'm going to use. And I found a pattern on Ravelry, a chart for a snake, for Slytherin snake. So I'm going to put that as my D chart versus one of hers. And then at the bottom I'm going to put one of her D choice charts. I haven't 100% decided, but yeah, so the snake fits with the chart size for that section, which I'm thinking is going to be across here. I've never knit a yoke sweater. I don't even know if it's going to fit me right, but I really wanted to knit it. So, and if I don't like it, I'm pretty sure my boys will wear it because they love Harry Potter. So that, and then other thing that I'm super excited about, I have never done a mystery knit along, and I'm going to remind myself to not do one ever again, because this is killing me to wait for these clues. Like, I am in love with what I've got going on so far. So I watch The Drunk Knitter, her podcast, and I absolutely love her. I love her energy. She gives you so much information, and she just, you know, I get, like, everything she says, and I really enjoy watching her podcast. So she has designed this knit along, and if any of you watch or are doing this knit along, spoiler alert, because I'm going to show you what I've got. So it's she had you pick out your yarns, and you're doing a brioche pattern, so you have a light and a dark, and then she recommended that you get like a why did the word escape me? A mohair to run along with the white. So I got Tart by Madeline Tosh and Silver Fox. And then I got this French word, Bouton d'Or, I don't know. It's Leary, in the color flannel. Yeah, I don't know. Like I said, I'm not a one for words. But anyway, it's this mohair, and it's got a sparkle to it, and I love it. And you get the clue the Saturday before the episode airs, so there's going to be, 6 episodes, there's going to be 6 clues, and I got it, and I picked out my colors, and I got the clue, and I knit this up, and I love it. So from what I gather, this is going to be the depth of the shawl, I think. I don't know, because it's a mystery. And then I think we're going to pick up and go different directions. But I love this, and I don't know if any of you watch Game of Thrones, but when Daenerys came on screen in the first episode with the white jacket, and she had like the blood up the fur in the white jacket, I'm like, oh my god, that looks just like my shawl! And I love it. I'm in love with this so much. I'm having a hard time, like, I keep picking this up instead of actually knitting. I can't do anything. I'm done with my first 2 clues. Like, I gotta wait. I have to wait till Saturday every week. I don't ever want to do that again. I'm the most impatient person. It's ridiculous. Yeah, but I really love that. The other thing that I've been working on is I've done a little bit of spinning, and I get Paradise Fibers Fiber of the Month box, and I've gotten it a couple months in a row, and this month they sent beads. There were beads and a little bead threader so you could make beaded yarn, and I'm like, that's interesting. I'm going to try it out. So I took some of this coral color that I got with my first box, and it came with this navy. Yes, it came with the navy. And the other box I got had a pineapple fiber yarn. So I, just put them together a little bit because all the beads that I got were blue. So I figured I'd do, this is kind of looking like, a red, white, and blue sort of, even though that's a coral color. When it's like with the blue, it kind of makes it look a little more red. I don't know. I like it. So there's a little bit of beads. I just put them randomly. I didn't do any counting or anything like that. I just put them in there. And so then I did, from the previous box, I had gotten like a pink, a yellow, and a blue. And I mixed that with this month's blue. So there's all blues, and I put these bigger beads on there. And until I ran out of these big beads, I did all this until I ran out of the big beads, and now I'm going to spin these same colors without beads so that I can apply it together with this. And I don't know what I'll make out of it, but it's just a fun experiment, something to do, And so yeah, that's kind of what I've been working on. Not much else going on in my life. There's only one more thing. Today, April 23rd, is my baby sister's birthday. I don't think she watches my podcast, but happy birthday, Angel. I miss you a bunch. You need to come visit me. I wore my my big sis necklace that she got me in honor of her today. She lives across the country. She needs to come visit her sister and her niece and her nephews. Just saying. But not much else for me today. The weather's getting nice. Probably go outside more. The kids will be home from school soon. It'll be exciting. Oh, we do? Well, I'll save that for a later date. Until that big news is... We've got big news in the making. So, yeah. That'll come at a later date. I like to keep things quiet until they actually come in fruition. But, anyway, thank you for stopping by my little corner. Check me out on Instagram and Ravelry if you want. Have a good day.